Okay, I got nothing. This review is going to be half-assed and all over the place, but I don't give a damn. Surf Ninjas is a movie that came out in the 1990s, came out in 1993. I actually had never seen it up until recently. I'd heard about it, had never watched it. So I actually got a chance to watch this movie recently. And this movie it's a marvel. I don't even know how to really describe it. This is not going to be a typical review where I get into the plot and I get into some of the specifics. Yes, there will be some spoilers, but I don't even care to really spoil this thing because there's no real point, because I just watch the movie and you'd understand. So the premise of the story, by the way, it's also going to be hard to review it because every few minutes I'm going to be laughing about something stupid that I saw during this movie. But the premise basically is two kids that love surfing. They're really good. They like surfing. That's their whole thing. And Rob Schneider is there. He's like a weird friend that shows up in their house sometimes and he tags along, and I don't know, he can't really surf. Like, that's his whole thing in the movie, is that he can't surf. But either way, these two kids like surfing, and then one day some ninjas attack them, and then they're saved by this mysterious guy with an eye patch. The guy with an eye patch has a crazy story. He tells them that these two are princes or kings or something like that, and that they belong to this older civilization that was taken over by this other monarchy. He says that they need to help reclaim their throne because it is their destiny. Like, you're going to hear that said a lot throughout the runtime of this movie. It's their destiny. So apparently these two surfer kids have to team up with him, and then they team up with a cop in the story too. There's this chick that the older kid gets married to halfway through the story, but not really, because she says later she doesn't really want to get married, but they can date. I don't know. It's one of those confusing type of things. Bottom line is that these kids have to team up with him and a bunch of other people to try to go reclaim their kingdom. And they surf, and there's a bunch of ninjas and flipping and fighting, and I had a good time with this one. This is one of those movies that's so atrocious and so hilariously awful that I'm pretty sure that it was done on purpose. Like, I'm not sure if they did it on purpose, but I'm like 95% sure that this movie was made to be bad on purpose. Like, this movie has a certain self-awareness to it that I do appreciate. At a point later on in the film, like at the end, where Rob Schneider looks directly into the camera and kind of says something to the audience, and that to me is the ultimate mark of a movie that knows what it is and is very self-aware and knows what kind of movie that is presenting. It's a movie that's not trying to be a cinematic masterpiece in any sense or any way. It's not trying to wow you. It's not trying to amaze you. It's trying to entertain you. Definitely, if you wanted to look at this movie from a critical lens, you could break down the poor production value. You could break down the acting, which... Ooh, the acting. I'll put it to you this way. Have you ever been on an elevator and then you passed gas, but you didn't want the other people in the elevator to know that you passed gas? Spend the next few minutes trying to make it seem like it didn't come from you. Like, maybe you start shuffling a little bit. Maybe you put on your music. Hell, maybe you just call it out first and you're like, oh my God, what is that smell? Yo, can somebody say, excuse me, please? I can guarantee you that that moment in the elevator has better acting than what you're going to see in this movie. That's right. The acting in this movie is pretty much not worth a fart in an elevator. And that's okay. Like, you're okay with it. You could talk about the absolute shit, like the gourmet level cheese that this movie has. And not just because it's a 90s movie, but because Batman and Robin, you add some ninjas to it, you add some surfboards, you just do all of that, except you do it on 100. I have to believe on some level that this movie's either trying to be bad, or maybe it wasn't trying to be bad, but it ended up being so bad that it's actually kind of a masterpiece, in the sense that you have no choice but to be entertained by it. I can warn you, I can assure you right now that if you take this movie seriously, if you take it at face value, if you actually try to break it down and get to the minutia of the good and the bad, and you actually do try to critique this movie, you might end up hating it, because you might look at it and you look at it as a real movie and you're kind of like, yeah, so this is bad. This is pretty crappy. The production value and design, the effects are atrocious. The audio dubbing, like, there's some weird moments of this audio dub, this ADR, that doesn't really fit the character. The only thing I can say that I really did not like in the movie was Rob Schneider, but that's just a personal thing with me because I don't like Rob Schneider. Like, guys, I unapologetically hate Rob Schneider. I don't like him. I think he's AIDS in pretty much every movie that he's been. Okay, I take that back. He hasn't been AIDS. Maybe a little hepatitis B or C or something like that, but I'm not going to say AIDS. He's he's hepatitis in pretty much every role. I've never been a big Rob Schneider fan. I don't like him in this movie. He's not really that funny. He's the comic relief character. You know what he's there for. He's there to say and do dumb things the entire movie so that you can laugh. I didn't really laugh that much at Rob Schneider. The absurdity of not only the concept, but the execution of it, the twists and turns of the plot, because there's not really a plot in this movie. Stuff just kind of happens, and they go from scene to scene with stuff happening. One of the favorite moments in the movie for me is there's this cop, okay? So these kids, after their encounter with some ninjas, they go to this cop, and this cop's like, look, I don't really believe you, but you're scared kids, and we can't find your dad, so we're gonna put a cop outside your house in a car, and so everything will be okay. So they get attacked by ninjas again, and then later on in the movie, this cop somehow catches up to them, and he's just like, hey, you know what? Fuck it, I need a vacation. Let's go on vacation. Basically stops being a cop for the rest of the movie. And he goes with these kids on this insane journey that doesn't even make sense. And by the end of the movie, he's wearing different clothes and he's fighting ninjas with them on this island. And it's just, holy shit, bro. Like, holy shit. You actually get down to it. This is a brilliant comedy. And I don't know if it's brilliant because it's trying to be funny or if it's brilliant because it's not trying to be funny. And that's actually what makes it funny. Cheese that this movie has could probably fill up the state of Wisconsin. Not even the Green Bay Packers process this much cheese. Not even the Cheesecake Factory could process this much cheese in an entire runtime. This movie had the one-liners. It had the running gags. There's so many bad edits in this movie of ninjas that are ninjas, but apparently just like the most incompetent ninjas that you've ever seen in your entire life, where these ninjas are getting beat up and they're getting knocked over, they're getting slapped around, and it's so fake looking. Everything is just so ridiculously fake. And everything from the costumes, I mean, the costumes basically let you know that this is essentially a Power Ranger movie, man. This is a Power Ranger movie with surfboards in it. And the sooner you accept that, I think the sooner you'll have a fun time. It's a guilty pleasure, but it's also a movie I was entertained by and I enjoyed, so I could put it in the Daily Planet or something like that. Like, there's no point in a rating. I'm not saying turn your brain off. I am saying surgically remove your brain and all remnants of it from your head, from your skull. Like, there needs to be nothing in your body but instinct and blood. And so just watch the movie with that, and I'm fairly certain you'll probably have a good time. Have you seen Surf Ninjas? What did you think about it? Tell me what your favorite 90s era movie is. Put that in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.